We're talking about Latvian Gambit for black. So how do we reach to this variation? e4, e5, knight f3, and f5. It's great for bullet, blitz, rapid, even tournament games against two types of players. Those who play tactics pretty bad and who don't like open positions and positions with lots of complications. And of course, in games where you just tend to surprise your opponents playing something for the first time. Let's just go with sidelines and let me just show you how should we play. If they play this passive move d3, they just block the bishop on e2, so we play knight c6. We defend pawn on e5, and we're just completing our development. If they play e takes f5, we just immediately build up the strong center. We want to capture back this pawn on f5 with bishop f5, and we'd like to develop knight on f6. So they have to play knight c3, we play knight f6. We're still waiting for them to play e takes f5, in which case d5 gives us a strong game. Afterwards we play bishop b4, bishop takes f5, and a game looks good. If they play bishop g5, bishop b4, e takes, this very common move. If they play a3, what else? You take, capture on f5, and the main drawback of white's position, those are these broken pawns and the pretty bad pawn structure. The main advantage, those are these bishops, but we can't say that he's got a classic good bishop here, because the light square bishop is pretty limited and it may go only to e2, which is not like so good and so powerful for white. Apart from d3, they can also play knight c3 move. It gives black white an easy game, mainly thanks to the strong center and open and active bishops. So you, of course, take on e4, breaking the center. The most logical move, knight e4, you just react with d5. You're building up a strong center. Open up both of your bishops. You'd like to develop both of your knights on f6 and c6. So they have two options, to play knight takes e5 or knight g3. If they play knight takes e5, you take. They play queen h5, and you play g6. After knight g6, position looks a little bit problematic, at least for black, but it's not. Don't worry. So when they take, you play bishop e6. At the moment, we have a full compensation. We've got like two pieces for the rook and two pawns, and it looks kind of like, let's just say, unclear at first glance. But I prefer black's position a lot more than saying that the position is unclear. So when they play queen e5, they threaten the bishop and threaten the pawn on e4. We defend it with a king f7 and open e file. They take on e4, we play knight f6. So now they have 3 pawns and rook for the 2 pieces. Now they have 4 pawns and rook for 2 pieces. And I'd like to stop here. This is a unique position and a very interesting one, because if you take a careful look at white's position, all the heavy and minor pieces are in the first rank, so they're absolutely untouched and undeveloped. And all these pawns are in the starting positions, 7 of 8 pawns. Looks like the only good piece is the queen on b7, but I'm not even sure if the queen on b7 is a good or bad piece. I'm even ready to sack the 5th pawn and play rook b8, so when they take on a7 to develop my bishop on c5, chasing away that queen afterwards. Let me just make conclusion. I prefer black's position after all. So after knight e4, d5, if they don't take on e5 but play knight g3, I keep chasing this knight away. Knight d4, they threaten queen h5, or they just want to play an f5. You play knight f6, d3, you break it. Knight d on f5 and knight c6. I like black's game. We have a very nice development. We've got open bishops, certainly a little bit better bishops than white, and black looks good. So far we've seen d3 and knight c3, and none of these moves give anything to white. E takes f5. Accepting the gambit in the 21st century should promise you nothing, which was proven in the game I'm about to show you played by Hector, or should promise you like a clear win if you learn everything by heart according to the engines. So e takes f5. You, of course, should always kick this knight away with a tempi. And now they have few options: knight e5, queen e2, or knight e4. If they play knight e4, you just go with knight f6, developing your piece, preventing queen h5, and defending and over-supporting the pawn on e4. d3, c5, knight b3, you take, play d5 threatening c4, they have to play bishop e5, and you complete your development. After castles, bishop takes f5, black at least has decent position. If they play queen e2, you just go queen e7, reminds me of the Scotch opening, knight e4, and knight e6. This is game by Hector, queen h5, king d8. In this position, you have to be ready to be very creative, and in many positions to put your king on f7, e7, d8. I know it doesn't look that promising or logical in some situations, but don't worry about it. Knight c6, d takes c6, bishop e2, knight f6, and h6. Queen a3, bishop f5, castles, and knight d5. Hector played queen d6 to avoid c4, and after knight b4, he threatened the pawn on c2 and the queens. After queen d6, bishop d6, white had problems with the pawn on c2, with the pawn on d3, and black looks eventually better. So just because of this, the only move is knight e5. Knight e5, they threaten queen h5 check to win on the spot. You play knight f6. They play bishop e2 to threaten bishop h5. You play d6. And this is one of those original positions about the Latvian Gambit and positions of the king that are going to rise. So when they give you a check, you go king e7. It's very interesting. King on e7 looks terrible, especially because they have this knight f7, and lots of players may go with this, with the terrible king on e7 and seemingly bad queen and the rook. Many of us who, for example, don't go too deep into this variation might say, okay, it's time to stop this embarrassing game and to even resign. No, actually, you're better. So you play queen e8. You threaten the bishop on h5, followed by knight on f7. They have to take on h8. So you take on h5, and when they play knight c3, you put your king back to d8. You'll just move your bishop from f8 to e7, capture this knight on h8, and have two pieces for the rook and a couple of pawns. Black looks good. I played a game in Blitz where I played queen e8. My opponent played knight c3, and when I captured, he came up with knight d5 check. I took another piece. My opponent played queen h5, I played g6. And this is one of those situations where I was just playing on feeling. I didn't know this line. I didn't know that this is supposed to be great for black. He took on c7, I played queen g6. And when he captured like this, I played knight a6. All I had to do here was to complete my development, place my bishops on e6 and g7, capture this knight on a8, and get like possible endgame with two pieces and two pawns, two pieces for the rook and two pawns. Black is better. If nothing else, we've got a very, very promising compensation. All things considered, all these variations, third move d3, third move e takes f5, so third move d3, third move knight c3, third move e takes f5, those are suspicious lines. And just like I previously showed you, in all these variations, black looks good. Now it's time to check some, let's just say, reliable lines. So d4, it looks very logical. It's just open like both of these bishops, and at first glance, white shouldn't have much problems after this d4. You take on e4, they take by knight, threatening queen h5. You always parry that out with the knight f6, and they go bishop e2 with the idea of not bishop h5, but they just want to complete development. After d6, they can play knight g4 or knight c4. If knight c4, you just play bishop e6. knight e3 threatening d5, d5 yourself, and now if they go castle, c5 followed by fast knight c6, black looks great. That's why they first have to play c4, but that doesn't change much because we hold the flexibility of the pawn chain in the center, and we play bishop e7 followed by castle, knight a6, knight c7. I like this knight a6, knight c7, reminds me of the French advanced reversed, where I want to play knight a3, knight c2, in this case knight a6, knight c7, over protecting the center and the pawn base on d5. After bishop e2, d6, looks like knight g4 is the only move. You play bishop e7, knight c3, d5, knight e5 castles, bishop g5, c6 castles, and bishop f5. This is how Johnny Hector played one of his games against a weaker opponent, and I don't have to carry on from here. After knight bd7, your position looks like so good with black. I mean, in what kind of opening you would be able to get such a promising position with the black pieces after 10 moves. So d4 shouldn't bring white anything either. So they have to go, so we're coming to the point that where they have to go for either bishop c4, knight e5. According to many books, many articles, many even YouTube videos, this is the best and only way for white to get a huge initiative and advantage. But in my opinion, it gives black more than rich game. So enjoy, and let me just teach you how to play against this one. So you take on e4, they take on e5. If they play bishop g8 or g8, knight e5, you just play queen g5, knight g4, d5, threatening this knight, and against h3, they want to play d3, chasing away this queen. You play this prophylaxis queen g6. You want to play h5, chasing knight away. You want to play afterwards d4 and take eventually on g2 and then h3. But you also want to remove your queen from d3 or d4 possibilities for white, where the queen would be under the attack. That's why they play knight e5. And once again, this is one of those positions where you can parry out both things. Knight f7, bishop f7, and queen h5. And it looks like white is winning. And so many opponents might go with this. Like I told you, I even found so many articles that say, okay, this looks great for white. But I don't think so. So after knight e5, you just play queen g5. You threaten knight and you threaten pawn. If they play d4, you take, they go queen h5, you go g6, check, and if they take bishop g6, you take on h1, you take on c1, and after knight f6, king e8, knight d6 seems to be an equal game. If they take the rook, h takes, king d8, knight f7, knight c3, queen c2, d6, knight d5, king d7, queen g8, e3, bishop e7, bishop h4, knight g5, and knight a6. At first glance, this position looks a little bit better for white, even though we're up a piece. But they have like a pawn and they have like a better position. All things considered, and worst case scenario, we can in most of these variations get a draw with threefold repetition by white. So that's why everybody goes with knight f7. This one reminds me of some Roy Lopez Gambit playing black or Kostic miniature variation. So after rook f1, looks like we're lost. Rook on h8 is hanging. We can't do any break on the king side, but no, that's not truth. And you just go with d5. This amazing move gives black more than enough, and shockingly enough, after d5, black is even better. Bishop d5 is not good. They have to play knight h8. But what happens if bishop d5? I remember when I analyzed this, at first glance, when you play knight c6, this awesome move, it says white is winning. Then it drops, says white is much better. Then it drops more, after like 30 seconds, says white is slightly better. Then you carry on waiting, it's unclear, it's equal, unclear, and eventually when you go like too deep into these analysis, after 96, black is winning. So many players might go with this line for white. And don't worry, you're going to be able to butcher that. So after knight h8, bishop g4, f3, looks like they parry out your threats, but the key move is bishop e7, followed by bishop h4. So when they play like this, check, this, knight d4, and black is just better because you don't have a way to defend f3, c2, and this king on e2. After rook f1, d5, knight h8, you play knight f6, another awesome move. So after like knight f6, bishop is threatened, bishop e2, knight e6. Who would say that black has a fantastic compensation even though he's down a rook? Don't panic. You've got bishop h3, you've got knight e4, you've got long castle, bishop e7 or bishop c5 or d6, and you'll be able to get this knight back. All things considered, they have to play knight e5. This is literally the only move for getting the edge. Like we've already seen, nothing else gives enough to white. We have to play queen f6, but this wouldn't be a good lecture if I don't show you something that almost shocked me in a couple of my blitz and bullet games. Knight c6. That's an original and interesting attempt for blitz and rapid games. Judging by my own experience in bullet, this scores 100% for black. So perfect score. I have to tell you, and I have to admit that I played a couple of times with white pieces and I got tricked. So, or I got punked. So after knight c6, d takes c6, you have like both of your bishops open, and this is a game between Tony Costin and Lamoureux, played in France, 1994. Bishop e2, knight f6, e takes, and g6. I like this King's Indian Gambit approach. So if they take, you just go with the bishop g4 and the long castle. An amazing initiative by black, amazing compensation, and black just looks good. Just because of this, they just go with d3, bishop f5, bishop e3, and you go with bishop e4. Castles, bishop c3, and Tony Costin made the draw eventually, but this looked at least okay at some point for black. Instead of knight takes c6, d4 also gives white better games, so they have to know for this knight c3 and few more moves after. Finally, everybody will go with a queen h5, and that's objectively good move. But I have to know some analysis by heart. So after g6, knight g6, you play knight f6. Interesting enough, I lost a couple of blitz games playing white just like this. So I remember that in the analysis, in post-mortem after those games, I realized that the queen h3 should be played, not queen h4. If queen h4, rook g8, knight f8, rook g4. Queen h3, rook e4, bishop e2. If they go with a king d1, you play queen e7, threatening mate, and you play queen f8. I analyzed this. Even though Engine says it should be better, almost winning for white, I highly disagree. I'm of opinion that misplaced king on d1, weak light squares, and mainly lack of activity give black huge compensation, or in the worst case, good counter chances. I like black's game, and I would prefer black here, but I'm that kind of a player. So after bishop e2, you just go queen e7, and when they go knight c3, you go knight d4. Knight e4, queen e4, castles check, and knight f4. Very interesting position with lots of potential here. Computer says d3, knight h3, take, king f8, g takes h3, and white should be much better. But do you know who's gonna know for all these variations? Only not top players, but only good players can guess these moves. I don't even think that most of FMs, sometimes even IMs, would be able to find all these moves, even in rapid, or not to mention blitz or bullet games. I just like I told you, you're gonna win like all the games, but this is meant for like faster time controls for black. That's why we have to play queen h3, like I previously said. H takes, and when they take queen e7. I'm just showing you a game between Robert Fontaine, good friend of mine, France GM, and his opponent was Igor Raussis, a very interesting GM who likes to play original systems and gambits with a lot of tactical potential. After d3, he captured bishop e3, d5, d takes, knight e4, bishop d3. Raussis at this point accepted the draw offer, but he could have gone with d4. He could have played bishop f5, and once again, even though we're down in exchange, you gotta be ready to be down materially if you want to play this line, but you also have to be ready for like lots of fire and tactics over the board. That's why I'm telling you, knight c6 is this original attempt to complicate the matters and to surprise your opponent. But of course, the queen f6 should be the main move. And after d4, d6, knight c4, f takes c6, knight c3, queen g6. I don't want to go into all these variations at the moment. I just want to show you the best one. There are like so many possibilities for white, and they can play knight e3, d5, bishop f4, and in all these variations you're just fine. Let's just say white is a bit better, but there is a special line. If you watch the Latvian Gambit for white on my channel, you would have gone, or you would be able to go with f3, e takes, queen f3. Don't forget, don't ever capture like this because your queen would be trapped. So you just go with knight f6, bishop d3. And in my video about the Latvian Gambit, I didn't analyze this queen g4. It's nothing that special, but at least it should give black just a little bit easier time because he buys some time so he can trade his queens off and play castle. Obviously, white is much better. Obviously, white has like more of activity there, but I do like at least drawish chances for black, even though white, let's just assume he knows like those top 10, 13 to 15 moves. It's not the end of the world, and your position should look fine. I mean fine. White is just much better, but it looks kind of defendable, especially against low-rated guys who won't be able to take advantage of the great opening. And that's why I didn't want to bother you with all these possibilities. I just want to explain you. You want to play knight f6, you want to play c6, you want to play d5. You would like to connect all your pieces and to play a game like this. Also, you want to play bishop g4. Black really looks promising in a type of game like this. Hope you like this video. Hope you like this. At least I tried to be a fast presentation of how to play Latvian Gambit with the black pieces. And once again, I'm repeating, do it against guys who are not so tactical. Do it once in a while so your opponents can have like bigger problems with preparing for you. But do not have like high expectations out of this variation, especially if your games are already published in the chess base and somebody just prepares himself for you, or in case you just want to surprise your opponent, then it might be fine. But apart from that, I believe this would be just suspicious opening choice by black. That would be all for tonight. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks so much. Bye bye.